Hi, Poima. I have your quiz here. Actually, I'll open up both of them. I was going to go through it real quick with you and before you do another retest. So this was the first attempt, the one that you got the 40% on. So question 1 asks which one can be used to expand the expression. And so anytime you have a parentheses with a number out in front, that number out in front can be multiplied through the parentheses or distributed through the parentheses. So that is the distributive property. Question 2 asks which one is equivalent. Holy cow, there's a lot going on here. So we've got a set of parentheses with a whole lot of terms on the inside, and looks like we need to multiply through the parenthesis. You can clean up what's inside first and then multiply everything by 2, or you can multiply everything by 2 and then clean it up. That's typically the method I like to do. So 2 times 14x is 28x. 2 times that minus 3y, that's going to give us minus 6y. 2 times 28x, that's 56x. That's a lot of x's. 2 times 12.2, that's 24.4. 2 times the 5y, and again it's subtraction, so minus 10y. And 2 times the minus 17.5. I tell my students to kind of treat these subtraction signs almost like negative numbers, but 17.5 times 2 is 35, so it's going to be a minus 35. And now we just need to clean up what's left over, combining all the like terms. In my class, we use different colors or highlighters, or we box or circle different things in, but I tell students to always include the sign that's in front of the number or the term, because that determines if it's positive or negative. If you look at the answer you selected versus the right answer, it looks like you had your x's and your y's combined correctly, but it was this back constant number that you did not get correct. So again, we'll just real quick check the 28x and the 56x, both positive, so 28x plus 56x, that's 84x. We have a negative 6y and a negative 10y, or students will say minus 6 minus 10. Technically, they're negatives, right? I could change that to adding a negative, but if I have negative 6 and negative 10, then I have negative or minus 16y, so that takes care of the x's and the y's. Sometimes we'll even go through and kind of cross stuff off like that just to make sure that we do have everything accounted for. Now we have a positive 24.4 and a negative, or we're subtracting 35. So 24.4 minus 35, if you have a calculator, that's negative 10.6, and because it's negative, that's why we write the minus sign, so you can see how this answer then ends up being correct. It looks like, based on your answer, because that's actually half, you might have combined those two terms inside the parentheses first and then didn't multiply that one by 2, because half of 10.6 is 5.3. Question 3 says, which expressions are equivalent to this? Select 2 options. So let me scroll down here. You can see the whole question. Okay, so again, this is the distributive property. I'm going to take this 7 and I need to multiply it by both terms. A lot of times when we first start with the distributive property, we actually just kind of show that multiplication. So it's 7 times negative 3/4 x minus 7 times 3. And you can see that down here. Now that's not simplified. It didn't ask where are the simplified expressions. It just asked where are the expressions that are equivalent. So those are equivalent. And now when we actually multiply 7 times 3/4 or negative 3/4, what is that? Negative 21 over 4. And then minus 21. And they have it written as a mixed number. So 4 goes into 21 5 times with a 4th left over. So then there's that other option there. And I'm not sure how you got, I picked this third one as well, and I'm not sure how you got that answer. But it's the first one and the last one. Question 5 again, which one shows equivalent expressions? So The distributive property is multiplication. You're taking that 2 that's on the outside and you're multiplying it through the parentheses. So 2 times 2/5 is not 2 2/5. Remember, when you take a whole number times a fraction, we multiply across the top and we multiply across the bottom. So that's where they get this 4/5. And then also multiplying through the second number, 2 times 2 is 4. So 4/5 x plus 4 is the correct answer. Okay, question 7. Janelle expanded the expression below. Oh, there we go. Janelle expanded the expression below. What errors did she make? Select 3 options. Okay, so -4 on the outside, we're distributing through. So the first error is that a negative times a negative should be a positive. So there's that first green check mark. Then we have -4 times 2/7, that's -8/7, which is not 3 5/7. So the -4 is getting multiplied by the 2/7, that's -8/7 or -1 1/7. Second term should be positive. No, that's not true. The second term is negative. She did not distribute the -4 properly. I mean, yeah, she didn't, because she didn't get her signs right and she didn't multiply correctly. She added 2/7 to -4 instead of multiplying. Is that what she did? 2/7 by -4. 4. Oh, it's a -4. Yeah, that is right, because you would subtract 2/7 from 4. So yeah, she added instead of multiplying. Remember, the distributive property is multiplication through the parenthesis. And the last one is number 9. When that is simplified, what's the resulting expression? So again, you can distribute first. Everything inside of that gets multiplied by 4. Or you can clean things up inside first and then multiply by 4. And it looks like the difference between your answer and the correct answer is we have a different sign here. And then the back term is also different. So it looks like maybe you just didn't distribute it all the way through. It looks like you didn't multiply the 4 by the 4. So 4 times 1/2, that's 2x. 4 times 2.5, that's 10y. 4 times the minus 0.7, so minus, or -0.7, we're going to have -2.8x. And then 4 times -1.3y. Let's see, that's -5.2y. And then 4 times 4 is 16. So combining our like terms, if I have 2x and I subtract, again, notice I circle that subtraction sign. 2 minus 2.8 is -0.8x. And I have 10 minus 5.2. So whatever sign you get when you combine your like terms, that's how you know if it's addition or subtraction. If I have a positive 10 and I subtract 5.2, I have positive 4.8. So that's why it's a plus sign and not a minus sign. And then there's nothing to combine with the 16. That constant term is just by itself and it's got to come along with us. Okay, so that was the first quiz. Let's take a look at the second one. A lot of times these will be duplicate questions, but we'll just see here. Okay, the first one is another, what errors did they make? The second term should be positive. Yes, so again, these negative signs and subtraction signs, they're really kind of interchangeable. So when you're multiplying something by a negative, I should get a positive term because a negative times negative is a positive. Then I should get another positive because a negative times a negative is positive. And then the last one will be negative because negative times positive is negative. So you can see They had the sign on the first one correct. They had the sign on the second one wrong, and they had the sign on the last one correct. So this is not right because it should be positive. This is correct that it's an error because it should be positive, a negative times a negative. The last term should be negative 1/2 and negative 1/2, not negative 1/4. Yeah, it looks like they keep, well, that was multiplication. Sometimes it's hard to tell how did they get that number. If I have 2 and I subtract 3/4, oh, okay, they added or something, but remember it's multiplication, so negative 2 times negative 8, that's 16x, not 10x, so that first term is wrong. Yep, there's that error. Did not correctly multiply that. Then we should have a positive 8y. So the second term should be positive. And then when you multiply negative 2 over 1 times 3 over 4, we get negative 6 over 4, which is negative 3 over 2, or negative 1/2. So then there's that error as well. The expression is simplified completely because there aren't any like terms that you could combine. I've got x's and y's and a constant. Okay, which expression is equivalent? We need to distribute and then maybe combine some like terms here. So 30 times 1/2, that's 15x, minus 30 times 2 is 60. 40 times 3/4. So if you're not sure about this, do your multiplication of fractions. 40 over 1 times 3 over 4, that's 120 over 4, which is the same thing as 30. So that's going to be plus 30y. Don't forget about that y there. And then 40 times that negative 4, and minus 160. Okay, so x's and y's can't be put together. So it looks like that's what you did here. We can't do that. Those aren't like terms. It would be like if you went to the grocery store and you said, hey, I bought 10 apples and 10 bananas. And then your mom says, oh, you have 20 apple bananas? Nope, that doesn't make sense. So this variables work in the same way when we're trying to clean up expressions and combine like terms. So we have 15x and we have 30y. And it's positive, which is why I put the plus sign here. The subtraction sign goes with the 60. This subtraction sign goes with 160. So I have negative 60 and negative 160. That's negative 220. So you can see that there. Okay, question 3 we did on the earlier test. I think I need to scroll down so we can see it all. Yep, there it is. So what they're showing you here is when you distribute, it's multiplication, so just 7 times the first term minus 7 times the second term. It's not simplified because they didn't multiply, but it is equivalent. And then here, just recognizing, so this, when you look at it like this, that says negative 7 and 3/4, so that's more like addition. When you have a whole number and a fraction, you can't just smash them together. When you're multiplying, you actually have to multiply correctly, multiply fractions correctly. And so 7 times negative 3/4 is negative 5 1/4. Oh, this is a big one. But it's going to be okay with that fraction out in front because all these numbers are divisible by 5. Multiplying something by 1/5 is really the same as dividing it by 5. 150 times 1/5, that's 30x. I just took 150 divided by 5. This works because the numerator is a 1. Minus, I think it's 15. Nope, it's 16. 16y. I'm just getting my calculator. 50 divided by 5, I can do that one. That's 10 minus 50x divided by 5. That's going to be minus 10x minus 5y. 25 times 1/5, or 25 divided by 5. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. So that's everything. Now I got to clean it up. So I've got 30x minus 10x. That's 20x. I have negative 16y minus 5 more. That's negative 21y. and I have a positive 10 and a positive 4, so that's 14. So there we go. And the last example we did in an earlier one. So again, I think on this one, this number that you have in the back comes from combining those two terms. 12.2 minus 17.5 is negative 5.3, but don't forget that 2 is out in front. So when you distribute, you have to double this number, and that's where they get that negative 10.6. Okay, so that was kind of quick, but if you have any questions, reach back out. I'm going to go ahead and add an attempt. I think you still have one more, but I'm going to go ahead and add an attempt to this quiz, and then if you have questions again or get stuck, let me know.